Okay, so I'm going to start this one. We're going to see if I get through it or not. This is the October-November 2021 Farm and Ranch Living for families who love the land. Absolutely adore this magazine. It's so fun. It's great. And we'll start on page 15 here. Love of the Life. These are seasonal photos and stories from the readers. We have a 2-year-old named Breland who loves playing on this old pedal tractor. Her dad, Rudin, got it ready for Christmas when he was a kid. He found it years later at his parents' farm, restored it for his kids. Megan and Boscree from Selmaca, New York, and that shows little girl on a John Deere tractor, and it's just adorable and it's great he was able to restore it. On page 16, a tea party for 2 or 3. Briley 6 serves up a spot of tea for Megan 4, who isn't impressed with the bug she found in her cup. Kristen Berger from Friendship, Wisconsin. Pride and Joy, John Tanner shows off his grandson Tanner, and his barn quilt is very proud of both. He constructed and installed the quilt himself, and he lights it up at night so passerbys can get a good view. And Geraldine Tanner from Chillicothe, Ohio. Such a treat. Lucy is the youngest of 5 children. She stood there talking to that horse about trick-or-treating for the longest time. It's one of our favorite fall pictures. And that is Katie Barr from Keswick, Virginia. And I don't know why I took that paperclip off, because I'm going to need it when I do my references. Hello? Okay, put it back in there. Next. Okay, we got more snapshots. Gourds and grandkids. My husband's brother plants pumpkins at our farm every year, and he always needs help harvesting. Our crew usually consists of adults and quite a few grandchildren. Dawn Green from Grand Mount, Iowa. Rollin' with it. Ironically, I have on my Easton Corbin t-shirt that says roll with it. I love it when my littles want to help around the farm, even when it's ambitious, sometimes outweigh their abilities. Margie Little from Wasilla, Alaska. And it says visit farmandranchliving.com/submit to submit your best snapshots from around the farm, and you can see them in a future issue of our magazine. Okay, Smarty Pans. This is Farm Table. This homespun pot keeps a classic stew hot. From Ellen Bishop in Mocksville, North Carolina. The word ingenious comes from the Latin ingenium, which means mind or intellect. It also comes to mean incentive, clever, or original. All of these describes my brother to a T. Throughout the years, Pete has shown a knack for reinventing the things that most of us consider junk. For more than 2 decades, on the 3rd Saturday in October, Pete and his wife of 56 years, Gail, have hosted a chicken stew. Family and friends gather to help prepare for the event, which draws some 300 people. First, Gail buys about 50 large packs of bone-in chicken breasts. Then these are cooked early on the morning of the stew. After the skin and bones are removed, the meat is chopped into chunks. Finally, Gail does her magic with flour, milk, and seasoning to create a delicious meal for all. The effort yields some 10 pots of stew, which are always gone before the party ends. A perfect example of my brother's incentiveness, and one of his best creations, is his warming pot that we use for Gail's chicken stew. As is his style, Pete made it from ground up using nothing but old cast-off. The legs came from a trampoline the kids outgrown. He added a frame on the top of the legs and held that together with a stainless steel band. Pete then welded a door into the frame to allow for addition of hot coals. The next level of this one-of-a-kind contraption is a cast-iron pot that was found abandoned in the woods. The pot is large enough to hold 150 to 200 gallons of water, which is heated by fire below. Finally, Pete fashioned a top to fit, complete with 4 openings, each size to a 5.5-gallon cooking pot. The smaller pots sit in the hot water, keeping the contents warm without Pete burning or sticking. Pete's homespun cooker, made up of mixed-up junk, has come in handy to pots of hot stew for all these years, but we still need to come up with a name for it. Any ideas? Pete, below, has a knack of turning the trash into treasure. Left is the warming station that he built for his family's annual chicken stew. And it shows the stew, which is fantastic either with chicken or turkey. If you use the bone-in poultry, simply cook, debone, and cube it ahead of time. The creamy chicken noodle stew. I was honored when my son-in-law, who is a fireman, asked me to add this recipe to his firehouse cookbook. You can prepare parts of this dish ahead of time and then assemble it when ready. Serve with crackers or bread. Carol Perkins from Washington, Missouri. Takes 30 minutes, makes 8 servings, which is 2 quarts. 1/3 cup of butter cubed, 1 medium carrot shredded, 1 celery rib finely chopped, 1/3 cup of all-purpose flour, 1 carton, 32 ounces of chicken broth, 1/2 cup, half and a half cream, 1/2 cup 2% milk, 1 cup uncooked Kluski or other egg noodles, 2 cups of cubed cooked chicken, 1 1/2 cups of shredded cheddar cheese, 1/4 teaspoon salt, 1/4 teaspoon pepper. In a large saucepan, heat butter over medium-high heat. Sauté your carrot and celery until tender, which takes 3 to 5 minutes. Stir in your flour until blended. Gradually add broth, cream, and milk. Bring to a boil, stirring constantly. Cook and stir until thickened, which takes 1 to 2 minutes. Stir in your noodles. Reduce the heat. Simmer uncovered until noodles are al dente. 7 to 10 minutes. Stirring occasionally. Add the remaining ingredients. Cook and stir until chicken is heated through and cheese is melted. 1 cup is 285 calories, 18 grams, 11 grams saturated fat, 92 milligrams cholesterol, 823 milligrams sodium, 11 gram carbs, 2 grams sugar, 1 gram fiber, and 18 gram protein. Next paperclip. If you notice I'm trying to fly through here, I am, because I wanted to make at least a dent in one of the next magazines. Okay, Quilted Country. While their namesakes keep the chill at bay, the barn quilts bring the warmth outside. Star of the Farm. Now, this is a Rainbow Star of Bethlehem. It's the focal point of the unique charcoal barn of Swinging Bridge Road near Mendota, Virginia, from Dale and Becky Carlson. I love these. They're just so wonderful. It's a little bit of art, if you will, on the barn. That's what I always say. Blue Skies Everywhere. The endless ribbon barn quilt at the Ingle-Wesmer Farm unites the colors of the sky grain, a perfect palette for this 272-acre operation in Shawano, Wisconsin by Jim Ludenberger. As pretty as a picture, these 3 flowers are in a frame adorned in this barn in North Carolina, where the rural areas across the country barn quilts have gained popularity, from little hand images by Getty Images. Number 3, The Tallest Bloom. A great big sunflower creates a pastoral scene on this farm in Bath County, Kentucky. That's Daniel Dempster Photography, Alamafi Stock Photo. Sea to Shining Sea. Mariner's Compass is one of the oldest quilt patterns in America. This version, just off the Friendship Road in Washington Country, Virginia, brings the modern color to the time-tested design. Dale and Becky Carlson. Number 5, Pop Art. David and Denon Gwent tend 400 acres of cropland and milk 120 Holsteins on their farm in Pulaski, Wisconsin. Their barn with its colorful cow quilt adds a pop of color to the landscape by Jim Ludenberger. 6, Perennial Color. The Autumn Leaves barn quilt graces the site of Lori and Dave Eggenhoff's cheerful green and red barn in Caroline, Wisconsin. The Eggenhoff's farm was founded in 1872, and Jim Ludenberger is the photographer. Number 7, Three's Company. The orange of this Carolina lily pattern is bright companion for the surrounding soybean fields, from Mike Kuhlballer in Monroe, Wisconsin. I'm sorry if I butcher your names. Bursting with History. The sunburst design was inspired by a generations-old quilt that was crafted in a nearby old log cabin. The quilt cabin and barn are all on display at Daniel Boone Forestry in Kentucky. And it says that was taken by EHRLIF Shutterstock. Visit farmsandranch.com and submit us your barn quilt photos, and you can see them in a future issue of our magazine. Moving on. I'm surprised I'm getting a lot done here. Okay, we have a beautiful picture of a barn, and it's in I wish I could show the picture to you, honestly. It says, Falling for a Barn. This weathered barn stands tall in the moody skies and crisp colors of the autumn near Bruce Crossing, Michigan Upper Peninsula by Chuck Haney. Beautiful picture. Okay, it says for some humor on the other side. When the going gets tough, the goats get praying by Spencer Gilliam from Gate City, Virginia. A few years ago, my wife Christy and I bought a home with acreage in southwest Virginia, since we have grown a small farm with dog, chickens, pig, goats, and more. One October, a nearby town was planning a Halloween trunk or treat, and we signed up to bring a few of our animals to make a petting zoo for the costume children. On the day of the event, we drove over to build fencing and decorate. This took longer than we expected, so we were running behind. By the time we returned home to load the animals, the pigs wanted no part of the cage. I tried to coax them into, and the goats decided that the livestock trailer and I had cobbled together was launching platform to see who could jump off the farthest. Time was ticking and stress levels were rising. Our plan to leash the goats and have one of them sit with us to ensure that they would stay put, Christy made it clear that she was driving, so it fell upon me to accompany the goats. Now's a good time to mention that Christy hates to be late. She stomped on the gas, and the goats and I were off on our harrowing 5-mile journey. I'm certain our neighbors heard my screams of "slow down" as we zoomed past. I've never known goats to be so religious, but I'm convinced that Sidney, with his head buried in my lap, was praying. I joined him in prayer for safety and forgiveness as we sped down a hill toward town. Soon we saw crowds flooding the street. We were late. A garbage truck blocked our path, but Christy wasn't slowing down. As we zoomed around that truck, I wondered if the goats and I would survive. As Christy screeched to a halt in front of the petting zoo, I lost my grip on a leash. A goat, shaken from the wild ride, staggered out down the street until a brave onlooker grabbed him. Collecting my wits and offering the event thank yous, I helped the goats settle into their pens. The event went well, and everyone had a delightful time. Even the goats seemed to enjoy themselves. The ride home was smooth. Still, I pray we won't be doing another trunk or treat anytime soon. And on the very back, very fitting end to this, it's a little boy and a little girl looking out at a mountainous horizon. It kind of reminds you of Yellowstone, which, by the way, comes back November 7th. Shameless plug. Anyway, it says, when the sun peaks over the mountains and its golden rays spread across the field, it almost takes your breath away. Shea, Blairsville, Georgia. Read Shea's Ag Diary starting on page 24 of the magazine. It says, God Bless America in the corner. Wonderful magazine. Pick up Farm and Ranch Living. And this is the October-November 2021 issue. You won't regret it. Woo! That was quick.